Hello everyone. Today I am going to explain a book of John Stuart Mill, Utilitarianism, which is written in 1861, in which I explain chapter number 3 and chapter number 4. Chapter number 3 of the ultimate section of the principles of utility. Chapter number 4 of what sort of prove the principles of utility. First of all, I was given a short or brief overview of John Stuart Mill. John Stuart Mill was an English philosopher, British philosopher, or a political servant and politician. He contributed widely to social theory, political theory, economic theory, and he was one of the most influential thinker of liberalism and social liberalism. There are four major works of John Stuart Mill. There are four major works. First, Principles of Political Economy, which is written in 1848. Second one is On Liberty, which is written in 1859, and third one is Utilitarianism, which is written in 1861, which was explained by me. And the fourth one is The Subjugation of Women, which was written in 1869. He was written this book influenced by his wife Harriet Hardy Taylor. Now I can explain both the chapters, chapter number 3 and chapter number 4. Chapter number 3 of the ultimate section of the principle of utility. Now I am explaining the chapter number 3. uh, any moral philosophy must explain by people should be obligated to undertake the actions it considered right. In other words, uh, words or means binding force or sanctions. There are two types of sanctions, external and internal, which was explained further. People raise this question whenever they are forced to consider adjusting for a new concept of morality, even though they tend to unquestionably accept the morality. Uh, they learn at an early age, like education and opinion. In fact, the popular morality, like the uh, idea that is wrong to rob or to betray, to deceive, or is made of secondary, not the primary ones. So while people believe in a number of rules, they help maximize happiness. Also, John Stuart Mill focus on the principle the greatest happiness of the greatest number of people. Mill hopes that people can start learning to accept this first principle with the ease they learn than the secondary ones. Mill returns to utilitarian sections and the binding force. Uh, Before I was talking about sanctions, internal and external. Now I am explaining internal or external sanctions. Um, External sanctions, first of all, are outside punishments. For example, people think that if they act immorally, God punishes him and their reputation will destroy, or God will punish. For utilitarianism, this external sanction express the ultimate moral principles of maximize utility. Good reputation is a reward for acting, for God wants to maximize creatures happiness, etc., etc. And internal sanction is actor own feeling of pain and displeasure at the idea of acting immorally, their moral conscience. Mill admits that some people lack conscience and only act morally due to external sanction, but things the most people consciousness can be cultivated in accord with utilitarianism as with any other moral ideas. Some people contrast their own objective moral principle, which they see as coming from God or other non-human source or activity, any non-human activity like robbing or betray someone, like this, and with utilitarian subjective principle, which is thought up by human themselves. Mill says this does not matter ultimately. People only obey objective principles because of their subjective feelings about those principles. If conscience is conscience is moral idea is feeling empathy for other people pleasure and pain. If moral conscience is learned, as Mill happens to believe, that means it can be cultivated in almost any direction, including quite easily to the utilitarian principle. Whereas people can dismiss particularly vaguely moral beliefs by analyzing them away. They cannot do this to utilitarianism. This is because utilitarianism real power is the basis of powerful natural sentiment behind it, the social feeling of mankind. Everyone recognizes that they are the part of society. Society must look at interest of all. First, before I will talk about the greatest happiness of the greatest number of people. Mill also believes that. So, as society grow more equal through history, this tendency only accelerates. So, when cultivated properly, Mill concludes a person's social feeling led them to picture themselves as a being who, of course, pays regard to other. Though education and social interaction, Mill argues, everyone can gain a feeling of unity with all the rest. Um, when morality conscientious people meet injustice and selfishness, they become more, not less, dedicated to justice and equality. They hope to make selfish and unjust people happier by feeling of unity and sense of moral conscience to even unconscientious. So it far is stronger than external sanctions, can even use them for its benefits. Now I am explaining my fourth chapter, which was named of what sort of the proof the principle of utility. Now I am explaining. Mill reminds reader that first principles cannot be proven in normal ways. First principle about knowledge. Knowledge can be proven through our senses or our internal sanctions, internal conscientiousness. However, ethics asks for first principles about conduct or practical ends, for matters on results or consequences. Uh, at the same time, this is based on piece of knowledge, what is good or desirable. For utilitarianism, this is nothing more than, nothing less than happiness. So, if only proof that a sound is audible is that people hear it, no, then the only way to prove something desirable is that people do actually desire it. So, Mill thinks it is plainly true that everyone desires happiness for themselves, which makes happiness good for each person. In turn, Mill contends the general happiness, therefore, a good to the aggregate of all persons. Uh, this means it is ethically desirable and can be a proper goal of action and inherent or internal value for an ethical system. But this is not enough. Mill wants to show that happiness is the only thing value in itself, and therefore the only value an ethical system should try to fulfill. He has to prove not only that people desire, but that they never desire anything else. Some critics would say that since people desire things like virtue and the absence of vice, utilitarians cannot prove happiness to be the only criteria for good and evil, good or bad. However, Mill disagrees. Utilitarians, in fact, of virtue as the absolute best means to the ultimate end. Absolute best means it was the ultimate result, ultimate consequence, or ultimate end. And virtuous people gain pleasure from their virtue, which they see as good in itself, because it was pleasure from their virtue, from their experience. This principle applies generally. People should not enjoy any given pleasure because this pleasure contributes to happiness as a whole, Happiness as a whole means a greatest principle of the greatest number of people. Rather, the principle pleasure contributes to happiness because they enjoy it. Although pleasure is a means to creating greater happiness, it is also a part of the end itself. Greater happiness means the greater happiness is a whole society's happiness, not a single one, not only a one person, whole society's happiness. Mill illustrates or explains this principle by looking at the parallel example of money. Uh, they give the example of money. People or originally love money. This is a true. People originally love money because they can buy things with it. Buy things, buy things and purchase items because of money, but then began to desire money. First of all, they desire money in and for itself, and sometimes even care more about having money and spending it. Care of money and spending it. Money turns from a means to happiness. Money comes from a means to happiness, you also know. Indeed, happiness is made of all sorts of pleasure and desires. It is not an abstract idea but a concrete whole made of various parts. Virtue then is like money. At first people seek it because they know it can maximize their pleasure and protect them against pain. Protect them against pain. Later it becomes a good in itself. Protects them against pain. It also a principle of good in itself. And indeed the best of all happiness component elements, for unlike fame, wealth and power, more virtue will never leads to less happiness. Experience never leads to less happiness. It increases our happiness or also a society's happiness. Ultimately, Mill explains the above discussion shows how besides desiring things that there are a means to happiness, people can desire things that are a part of happiness, and this is a proof the principle of utility is good, sometimes good, not every time good. So, if Mill can show that no natural human desire is anything but a desire for either a part of happiness or a means to happiness, then has proven that happiness is the only goal of human life. No, happiness is not the only goal of human life. There are other several goals of human life, not single one happiness. So the proper standard to make moral judgments about good and evil actions and the sole criteria of morality itself. And it is uh, also possible to give this proof through fact and experience. Like virtue, Mill argues that practice self consciousness and self observation, also self experience, will show anyone think of an object as desirable and think of it as an pleasant and the same thing. Mill considered the objection. Mill considered the objection that the will is a different thing from desire, and there that people can will things they do not desire or enjoy. He agrees that this is true, but says that willing things one does not enjoy is just proof of the power of habit, that is of people getting stuck in the habit of doing, of obtaining things. There are no longer and pleasurable or happiness. At first one wills what one can keep willing it, one has stopped desiring it. There is nothing inherently good or bad, that I can beforely told you. Nothing is every time good or bad, nothing is every time good or bad. Mill also agrees that, so however it is possible to make the will work for absolute good Why developing a desire for virtue and the accompanying will to be virtuous? No. So the principle of greatest happiness of the greatest number of people, it is not always right, it is for sometime right. There or principle of one's happiness is not sometime right or not sometime wrong. Principle of society's happiness is not sometimes right or not sometimes wrong. So experience is matters, experience, virtue, observation is also matter, not the principle of greatest happiness of the greatest number of people. Thank you for listening me patiently.